of presence.
So many times the debunkers try to explain abductions as people simply mimicking and repeating stories that have been passed around over the years. Well, here's some people who had nothing to go by. Nobody had ever reported this, and yet their abduction experience is remarkably similar to what we hear from people even to this very day.
The Betty and Barney Hill abduction story broke in the 1960s and was soon followed by many more. The general public became entranced with the idea that alien spaceships were visiting Earth and that extraterrestrials known as the Greys were abducting humans. But in 1969, the US Air Force dismissed these accounts in an investigation codenamed Project Blue Book. The report concluded UFOs constituted no direct threat to the United States. Sightings of unidentified flying objects were the result of a mild form of mass hysteria, or, quote, war nerves, hoaxers, publicity seekers, psychopathological persons, and the misidentification of various conventional objects.
And there is nothing in the records which would indicate that we have been visited by any advanced civilization.
With that, the US Air Force declared the case closed. However, ufologists were not convinced by Project Blue Book. Many believe that the US government has been involved in a cover-up of cosmic proportions ever since the Roswell case.
It really has to be said that Blue Book was nothing more than a PR effort by the Air Force to explain away UFO phenomenon.
I think early on in the 40s and 50s, when they began to learn, they meaning the government, that UFOs, extraterrestrials, were probably a reality, I think it scared them to death because, number one, they feared public panic, disruption of the social systems, religious systems, and they were loath to admit that they could not control the skies over the nation.
Try as the Air Force might to debunk UFOs again and again through the 50s and 60s, whoever's operating these UFOs didn't appear to read the Air Force reports because they kept showing up.
Ufologists argue that Project Blue Book cannot account for a large number of cases. Out of 12,618 UFO reports, 701 remain unsolved. One of the most intriguing unsolved cases took place at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico in 1964. According to the story, an alien spaceship landed at the base. Several Greys emerged and were greeted by US military personnel. It later became the basis for the famous closing sequence in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
This is absolutely, something we cannot confirm. However, it has to be said that a rumor of this came out immediately. An airman at Holloman Air Force Base who went into the town and started talking about this. And according to the accounts, he was highly distressed, very upset, didn't know what to do, and he was not seen again.
In 1984, two mysterious film canisters appeared, helping to perpetuate the claims of conspiracy theorists.
Jamie Chandray in 1984 received this package in the mail, which was undeveloped film. There were two sets of undeveloped film. One was given to Bill Moore and one was given to Jamie. And he, in turn, released this to the world, and it was an 8-page memo signed by Harry Truman.
Known as the Majestic 12, or MJ-12 documents, they suggested that on the 9th of July 1947, US President Harry Truman had authorized 12 high-ranking military and national security personnel to conduct a covert mission, a top-secret research and development intelligence operation responsible directly and only to the President of the United States.
The large number of documents that I've been able to accumulate very clearly show that we have a covert program to keep from the public the recovery of a large number of crashes that include the recovery of extraterrestrials.
The Majestic 12 documents detailed 4 types of spacecraft that aliens used. They included disc, cigar, circular, and triangular-shaped craft. But most intriguingly of all, within the pages of the MJ-12 documents, there is, for the first time in history, acknowledgement of alien beings that are known as the Greys. In these official-looking papers, they're called Extraterrestrial Biological Entities, or EBEs.
There was a special operations manual called Extraterrestrial Entities and Technology, Recovery and Disposal. And in that manual, there was a 1-page description of 2 different types of extraterrestrial biological entities.
EBE Type 1 is said to be, quote, humanoid and might be mistaken for human beings. They are bipedal, 5 to 5 feet 4 inches in height, and weigh 80 to 100 pounds. Cranium is somewhat larger and more rounded. The eyes are small, wide-set, almond-shaped. EBE Type 2 is said to be, quote, 3 feet 5 inches to 4 feet 2 inches and weighs 25 to 50 pounds. Skeptics, however, claim that the MJ-12 documents are an elaborate hoax.
These were bogus. These were dummied-up documents somebody made using an old typewriter and finding a signature off of a genuine Truman document and cutting and pasting and re-photocopying. And they are obvious and provable forgeries and fakes.
If these are faked, it is what you call an inside job, and that is a government job, someone who had access to information that was restricted at the very least.
More mysterious papers emerged in the 1980s, with riveting new details about the Greys. The Dulce papers perhaps were the most sensational. Released in 1987, they alleged that the US government was in collusion with the Greys in exchange for highly advanced technology. These unsubstantiated documents claimed that there was an underground facility somewhere in the New Mexico desert where the Greys were secretly enacting their evil agenda.
They're using us for breeding because they have fertility problems. We don't know how they reproduce. We know they don't have genitals.
Those who subscribe to this theory say the Greys abduct young, pregnant women.
Then within the first 3 months, first trimester, the pregnancy spontaneously just terminates. There's no bleeding, there's no spontaneous abortion, there's no regular abortion, there's none of that, and all of a sudden, it stops.
Believers say the extraterrestrials extract unborn babies from their victims and use them for their alien-human hybrid program.
These fetuses, if you will, are somehow kept by the ETs in usually these tanks, we call them. They're kept in fluid, and then they're somehow raised to be adults.
The release of these and other documents, coupled with new sightings, fueled the public's appetite for more information. People aware of these developments looked to the skies for signs of mysterious craft and beings from an alien planet.
There's no question that the UFO research field really exploded during the 1980s. It's an amazing phenomenon. You have, for the first time, widespread discussion of abductions. At the same time, UFO phenomenon became a major part of U.S. popular culture.